Hi there, I'm Jenny Tomes. This little lesson is presented by Port St. Lucie Utility Systems, connected to the community since 1994. I have a very special guest with me today. She will be acting as my helper. This is Molly, my daughter. Say hello.
Hello.
Hello. Thank you, Molly. She's going to be presenting and modeling some of our visuals today. All right, so this question that we are going to talk about today is, how do we treat our water? Well, we treat it very well. Thank you. We treat it amazingly well. All right, so let's get into that. You may recall in a previous little lesson that we talked about where our water comes from, where our fresh water comes from, where we get it from in the city of Port St. Lucie. So, Molly, if you could hold up this picture. Perfect. All right, so this is the picture I used to show you where we get our water from. So you see up on top, we have that surface water, then we get into the water table. The next level there is the Surficial Aquifer. So surficial just means it's closer to the surface. So if we were to go outside and start digging about 50 feet down, you're going to hit that Surficial Aquifer. So what is an aquifer, you ask? An aquifer is just a layer underground that holds and absorbs water. So there might be sand, rock in there that's holding and absorbing that water. So let's get back to our picture here. You're not done yet, miss. All right, so we have our surficial aquifer. Then there's what's called a confining layer, which just sort of separates the two aquifers, if you will. All right, then we get down to the Floridan aquifer. So Floridan sounds like what word?
Florida.
Florida, you're right. So the Floridan Aquifer is found all over the state of Florida. It's the largest, most dependable freshwater resource that we have here in Florida. So what we at the city of Port St. Lucie do, we have to suck that water up out of the ground. So what do we use? Really fancy, expensive what?
Pipes and filters.
Well, that's to clean it. But first, to get it up out of the ground, we just use a straw. Yeah, we just use a straw. A fancy, expensive straw. We call it a well. All right, so we use wells. We have over 40 wells all over the city of Port St. Lucie to suck that water up out of both the Surficial Aquifer and the Floridan Aquifer. Okay, thank you. Excellent job. All right, so once we get that water up out of the ground, do you think it's ready? Are we ready to send it to your house? No. Would you drink that water?
Nope.
No, me neither. What do you think's in it?
Dirt and sand and rocks and stuff.
We actually, yeah, all of that. That's all right. We actually live really close to the ocean, so there's a lot of salt in that water as well. There's also things that you can't see with your eyes. There are things in that water that you need a microscope to see. So we need to make sure we get all that stuff out so we can send it to your house. So what do you think we use? Now go back.
Now. Filters and pipes.
Yeah, so now pipes and filters, right? All right, so we get that water up out of the ground. We use what's called reverse osmosis, which just means we use a particular amount of pressure to push water through our filters. All right, so this is the first filter that water is going to go through. Molly, can you describe to us what this is made of?
Almost feels like really fuzzy yarn.
Fuzzy yarn,
Yeah.
Yep. And then that fuzzy yarn is woven and wrapped around what?
It's almost like a plastic tube with a few holes.
Okay. All right, so let's see. I don't know if anybody can see that there, but yeah, there's a plastic tube with lots of holes. So reverse osmosis, we push that water through, and this is called a Micron Filter. So what I want you to do at home, if you can, depending on how long your hair is, try to grab one strand of hair. I'm going to grab one. Okay. Ooh, I got a couple. All right, that's okay. One of them was gray, so worked out. All right. So we have our strands of hair. Do you have your strand of hair? You can't even barely see that, right? This is amazing television. All right, so we've got our one strand of hair. You can feel how thick that strand of hair is, okay? Anything that's the thickness of one strand of hair will be held and captured and trapped in this filter, in this Micron filter. So particles, so things like the salt and the sand and the dirt, anything that would maybe feel gritty in your hand will be trapped and captured in this particular filter. Okay, so let me get rid of that hair. All right, so you can imagine how dirty this filter gets over time, right? So the water goes through it, it's nice and clean, right? And then it's definitely going to get dirty. So what happens is our operators at our treatment plants replace these. So they take out the dirty ones and they put in new ones, okay? All right, so that's our first filter, our Micron filter. The next filter, Molly, please. Thank you. All right, so this is what's called a membrane. So this is the next filter. So this will capture anything that you can't see with your eyes. So anything that's in the water that you would need a microscope to see will get captured in here. So can you describe kind of what this feels like?
Kind of like fabric and plastic.
Yeah, kind of fabric, kind of plastic. All right, so we're going to get that real close to the screen. You'll see these layers sort of wrapped and woven around another plastic tube, which is called the product tube. So that water, through reverse osmosis, is pushed through this tube and sort of squeezed out into this middle product tube. So you can see some holes in there. All right, so the water is pushed through. The clean water is pushed out into this product tube. The problem is that we've cleaned it too much. Now it's too clean, which is a weird thing to say. My house is never too clean, right? But you can clean water too much. That means you've actually taken out the naturally occurring nutrients and minerals that are found in water that our body needs. So what we have to do, we have to go back to that original source, right? So that original water that we got up out of the ground, now we have to put a little bit of that back in to that really super duper clean water, okay? And then what's next? Where do we send it?
Everyone's house.
Yes, get excited. Yes,
Woo.
we send it. It's exciting stuff. Then we send it to your house. Okay, so you have fresh, safe, clean, great tasting, dependable water, right? So we have lots of customers that depend on our water, and we want to make sure that we're doing the very best job that we can, and we are every day. We have amazing operators that work in our plants all the time to make sure that you never have to worry about that water that's coming out of your faucet. So next time you get a drink, think about us. Think about the journey that your water went on, right, just to get to that faucet. Think about how deep down in the ground it came from, and then think about the process. Got some hair in there. And then think about the process we use to clean it up to get to your house. So thank you so much for joining us today. If you have any comments, questions, feedback of any kind, just send me an email at jtomes@cityofpsl.com. We hope to hear from you. Stay tuned for our next little lesson. Bye, everybody.